Alright, so here's part 2, because I don't want to make videos too long. The mantra. This is Sadhana for invoking the blessings of Buddha Shakyamuni by Mipham Rinpoche. You start by Namo Guru Shakyamuni. The Sutra of King-like Concentration says, whenever one's walking, sitting, standing, or sleeping, if one can recall the capable one, then he will always be in his presence, bestowing blessings that transgress vast sufferings. The sutra also says, his body is of the color of pure gold. The protector of the world is ever so gracious. Anyone who applies mindfulness on him, this bodhisattva, will enter the state of meditation. Therefore, we should practice mindfulness of the peerless teacher, Lord Buddha Shakyamuni, in the following way. First, recite the refuge prayer. Namo Guru Shakyamuni. I'm going to read the English translation because I'm sure there's like Tibetan, and I don't want to butcher too much of the Tibetan, even though it sounds cool. In the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and divine powers, I take refuge until the attainment of Bodhi fruit. With the merit of practicing meditation and recitation, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then, generate the 4 measurable attitudes. Reflect on the fact that appearance of all phenomenon is devoid of intrinsic nature by reciting the following. Non-arising emptiness and dependent arising, manifested in the form of an unceasing and illusory union, amidst the ocean of offering clouds in the sky in front of us, atop a lotus sun-moon disk, on a precious lion throne, is the peerless teacher, Buddha Sakyamuni, endowed with the golden-colored skin and marks of perfection, wearing the 3 Dharma robes and seated in cross-legged posture. His right hand elegantly extends in the earth-touching mudra. His left hand rests in the meditation mudra while holding an alms bowl full of nectar. Like a golden mountain, he is radiant with majestic brilliance, emanating light of wisdom that fills the expanse of space. 8 Moyen Bodhisattva and 16 Arhats and an ocean of noble assemblies surround him. The mere mindfulness of him liberates us from the 2 extremes notions of samsara and nirvana, and bestows us the glory of sublime bliss. He is the great Lord, the embodiment of all refuge. The foreword here. Visualize the Buddha in this way, and then believe that the Buddha appears immediately and truly in the sky in front of you. This is because the wisdom bodies of the Buddhas are not limited by time or space. It is said, whoever contemplates the Buddha, and the Buddha will be in front of him. He will constantly bless him and release him from negative karma. If you visualize the Buddha, you will accumulate merits that are inexhaustible, and your virtuous roots will not go to waste. As the Avatam Saka Sutra puts it, anyone who sees, hears, or makes offerings to the victorious ones, his merits will increase immeasurably. So, I'm going to summarize just the last part of this, so it sounds pretty weird, metaphysical, I'm sure. More or less, the concept of Buddha transcends the physical existence of Buddha, the original Siddartha Gautama, the one we're talking about. And so it's not the fact that he's whether he is there or not, in the sense that human beings usually talk about a person being alive or whatnot, it's not as important as the visualization, because in thinking about this person and thinking of the Buddha is there. It's similar to when you have loved ones that you care about that have passed away. When you contemplate them, they are still with you in some way, shape, or form, right? Their insight, the things that they've imparted on you, they're with you. And so, whether you want to take this in the literal sense or in metaphysical or psychological sense, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on just fulfilling the practice, and then we can contemplate it in more depth later. So, All phenomena arise under conditions and depend on one's aspirations. Any aspiration made by any person will develop into a corresponding result. This is pretty straightforward, right? Can't really argue with that, in my opinion, right? Develop firm understanding of this principle. Yeah, good advice. In the strife-filled land of degeneration, with great compassion, you made 500 great aspirations, exalted like a white lotus. Hearing your name grants non-retrogression. The compassionate Supreme Teacher, to you I prostrate. All merits and enjoyments of the body, mind, and speech of myself and others, I offer it all to you as I visualize them into Samantabhadra's offerings cloud. All negative actions and downfalls that I have accumulated since beginningless time, with deep-felt remorse, I fiercely confess to every one of them. All positive actions of noble and ordinary beings, accumulated through the past, present, and future, I rejoice at them. Please turn the wheel of the profound and vast Dharma perpetually and in every direction. Your wisdom body is equal to the vast expanse, and although you remain unchanging throughout the past, present, and future, you manifested birth and death for your disciples. May your illusory physical manifestation always appear. With the positive actions that I have accumulated through the past, present, and future, I wish to benefit sentient beings as infinite as the vast expanse, so that you, Lord of the Dharma, are constantly pleased, and may all attain the state of the King of the Dharma. We, the unprotected and degenerate sentient beings, are held by you kindly with your extraordinary compassion. All existence of the three jewels of this land at this time are manifestations of your activities. You are then our primary refuge, unparalleled and supreme. I pray to you from my heart, with conviction and faith, please do not forget the great aspirations you had made in the past, and hold us with your compassion until we attain the supreme enlightenment. Forward. Visualize that the Buddha is right in front of you with fierce conviction, and concentrate single-pointedly as you repeat the following as many times as you can. Supreme Teacher, Bhagavan, thus gone one, foe destroyer, worthy of offering, and truly perfect Buddha, Sakyamuni, the glorious conqueror, I prostrate to you, I make offerings to you, and I take refuge in you. Then recite the mantra mentioned in the short Prajnaparamita Sutra as you invoke Buddha's blessing. Te yata om mone mone mahamonaye soha. Then repeat as many times as possible. Om mone mone mahamonaye soha. Om mone mone mahamonaye soha. Om mone mone mahamonaye soha. The exact translation of this varies between which language you're actually reciting the mantra from. So Tibetan, this is the Tibetan version. Soha in the original, I think it's Sanskrit, is Svaha. In the grand scheme of things, not as important. What matters is action. During this time, be mindful of the virtues of the Buddha and visualize the Buddha's body one-pointedly and clearly, and with the application of the conviction while you repeat the following once. Visualize that reciting the name and the mantra, the Supreme Teacher's body emanates all kinds of wisdom light, eradicating negative karma and hindrances of me and all sentient beings. And then the virtues of the Mahayana path genuinely arise within us, and thereby we attain the position of non-retrogression. Dedicate all the virtuous fruits of this practice to the unexcelled enlightenment and aspire to apply the seal. And then what's interesting in the afterword here, in general, whenever you are walking, moving around, lying down, or sitting, you should be mindful of the Supreme Teacher. Even at night, visualize the actual Buddha's radiant body emanating light to all directions like extremely bright daytime. Then fall asleep in such a state. In daily life, constantly remind yourself of how the Buddha developed the bodhicitta mind, which is like the mind of tremendous compassion for life on earth, if I had to simplify it. Exert yourself in the following the examples of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the past, present, and future, and commit yourself to the precious bodhicitta mind without slackening your efforts, and try your best in adopting the general and specific conduct of the Bodhisattva. Especially be diligent in the practice of shamatha and vipassana, vipassana. And by doing so, you will give meaning to the freedom and advantages of your human life. It is said that in the sutras that by merely hearing the name of the Buddha, you will be gradually guided to the non-retrogression Mahayana path. And short Prajna Paramita Sutra, it is said all Buddhas were born from this Dharani. Buddha Sakyamuni too became enlightened by the power of this Dharani. Avalokitesvara, the Buddha of compassion, Bodhisattva compassion, attained the fruit of Bodhisattva by the power of this Dharani. Merely listening to this Dharani, and you will effortlessly gain vast merit and eradicate hindrances and negative karma. And there's additional promises and like more of the like actually kind of cool in my opinion, but there's more metaphysical stuff. But I'm gonna skip over some of it. Here we go. How to develop conviction in Buddha Shakyamuni and how to practice shamatha and vipassana were recorded in other sastras. An extensive biography of Buddha Sakyamuni, the White Lotus commentary, for example. This liturgy was requested by the Treasury of Three Trainings on Orgyen Tenzin Norbu with an auspicious kadak. Recently, Rinpoche also entrusted Toku Jigme Pema Dechen Rinpoche with gold, auspicious kadak, and other objects of offerings in a request for a speedy completion of this sadhana. At the request of these two masters and with an unwavering conviction for the excellent teacher, I, Mipham Kyamso, Dharma teacher of the turbid world in mere name, the disciple of Buddha Sakyamuni, completed this sadhana on the 8th of January, Iron Mouse. That's actually this year too. Like this is also Iron Mouse technically year in Phuntsok Norbu Monastery at the foot of Holy Sa Dorji Punchuk Mountain of Sershul. May the benefit of sentient beings continue without stoppage, and may true and unequaled blessings from the Buddha arise in the mental continuum of all sentient beings who see, hear, read, and touch the sadhana. And so that's the Buddha Sakyamuni like mantra from the Tibetan, the Nyingma sect's book specifically. And I thought it was pretty cool. If we want to step back for a moment and like I try to observe things from both within the in-world explanation and understanding of things and the third person or like the external looking in kind of thing, outside looking in kind of perception of things, you can look at this, I think, for most like normal or like not super superstitious or like people who are just like more secularly grounded, we'll put it. You can choose to keep or reject or whatever you want to hold agnosticism, which I favor, towards cosmology and metaphysics of Buddhism. There's a lot of stuff involved, such as like reincarnation, or I mean, I would argue that you have grounds for literal interpretation of reincarnation, even if you don't want to take the cosmology of Buddhism and like 100%, which is like there's some pretty out there stuff that happens according to legend and stuff within the general story of Buddha's life and other people, but like it's not that crazy if you think about it. I don't think. Like there's a lot of stuff that's like maybe like not as extraordinary or like supernatural if we think about it. It's like it doesn't have to be considered in a way or interpreted in a fashion that has to be deemed, or maybe it's even better just not to think of whether it's supernatural or not supernatural. You can just take it as a parable or like as a tool or conceptual tool for like learning and gaining more insight. If I recall correctly, it's been a while, I'm a little rusty. Vipassana is like a wisdom training, I believe. And so in Buddhism, there's like an emphasis on like spiritual condition, like spiritual and like mental and physical conditioning. So of course they want you to be healthy physically, healthy spiritually, and like not being a bad person ideally, or try to make you, or not make you make yourself essentially. Try to help you guide you in a better direction than would be possibly the alternate. And this concept of bodhicitta, which is like Buddhist compassion, or compassion, it's specifically the Buddhist concept of compassion, which is like a very deep, profound sense of care and loving kindness for other beings in addition to yourself, because you are also a being, right? But of course, there's also things like the ultimate and like the two truths. Essentially, that there's a conventional level truth. So there's things that are conventionally, yes, accurate. Like what's like the sky is blue is a conventional truth. We generally, but if you look at the deeper, like metaphysical level or even physics level, you can be like, no, it's not technically blue. That's just something we kind of experience because of our eyes, yo. But in all seriousness, there's just some stuff. If we really think about it at the deepest level, it starts to like fall apart conceptually, and it's kind of like what physics or physician, not physician. Physicist. It's kind of like what physicists have to deal with when they have to talk about like what happened before the Big Bang or what's happening inside of a black hole. Like they're just like, you kind of have to just be in the black hole in order to gather that data, and it might destroy you. And it's like it's beyond the scope of their ability in most cases. But Buddhism's more like about experience, and the stuff that doesn't make sense, you can abandon. They can be considered as provisional teachings. And that's kind of the convenient aspect for a lot of Buddhism, is that a lot of things are useful for expedient, like they're skillful means. So this is a very popular saying amongst within the Nichiren sect, which are, I believe, Pure Land also. They invoke Nichiren, like Buddhist Nichiren, who's considered a Buddha, and he's a follower of Siddartha Gautama. Everybody is a follower of Siddartha Gautama for the most part. There's like technically a primordial conceptual Buddha that is supposed to technically predate Buddha, and there are others who might have been said to attain Buddhahood prior, but like for all intents and purposes, the original Buddha is Siddartha Gautama. So that's all you really need to know about that. It's his birthday today, and I thought I should share the insight and the inspiration of him with other people, and maybe this will give you hope and help you, guide you to more wisdom, because essentially it's like just keep gaining new information, keep learning, see things clearly. Like there's lots of metaphysical baggage, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes not a good thing. But if we can get past the stuff that we're not, like the stuff that's not meant to be falsified or provable, if we can focus on just the core of Buddhism, Four Noble Truths, and what it's trying to accomplish and get at, I think we make a lot of progress in that alone. That alone is worth so much, and it will make the world a better place. And so for that reason, I shared it, and that's why I try and embrace Buddhist philosophy and respect and revere the teachers and gurus and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, whether they're real or fictitious beings or spiritually real. I don't know what you want to call it. Regardless of what you want to think of them as, they're just like when you think of like Superman as being a superhero, and it's like somebody to aspire to be kind of more like. You can look at some of these beings, whether they're real or fictitious, whether they're historical figures or not historical figures, as being meant to embody something of that same kind of nature and that same spirit. And there's lots of deeper stuff within Buddhism, which kind of culminates in the truth that at the ultimate level, everything is kind of devoid of essence, of stuff, like the thing that we think makes it itself in a lot of ways, right? Like when you investigate it at length. So that, and then the concept of impermanence, because everything is basically like eventually going to break down and become something else. And then that something else will probably become something else and like forever. So yeah, it's pretty cool, worth thinking about. And yeah, I don't know how, like, even if you're not going to follow Buddhism, like it's worth at least entertaining the thoughts and beliefs and values. The values, if nothing else, for every human being, the values in Buddhism are pretty solid, generally speaking. So I encourage everybody to go seek and explore on their own as well, and I will try to be there to help with that if at all possible, or offer support and to point to somebody who might know some stuff that I thought was cool and seems to check out. So at the 20-minute mark, we're going to end this. Thank you for your time. And yeah, may I offer this to the three jewels and to the divine powers as I conceptualize things. And yeah, may all beings be able to be free from suffering, or at least have it mitigated and be able to transcend it. Namo.